Mary with Stamps-N-Lingers, and it is Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, which means it is time for a video on the YouTubing. So let me go ahead and do a quick refresh off to the left to be sure that YouTube has responded appropriately. It looks like so far so good. That's an excellent, excellent sign. All righto. All right, so good to be back on Thursday. One little detail, I will be gone next week as well. So we'll do our next video on Saturday evening, this coming Saturday, for a Christmas card. And then I will be at Backstage next week. So there will be no Thursday video next week, but I will post a note about that on my blog as we get closer. So I appreciate you guys coming. Hey, Rosie, hi, Marva, and Marilyn, and Judy. And Judy, two Judys, one from Canada and Judy Frank from not Canada, I'm guessing. Hello, Sandy. I'm so glad to see you here live. That's cool. I hope you will enjoy it. Okay, so last week at our retreats, actually it's the first retreat, one of my team members, Susan Kinsel, she brought this cute fun fold that was all decorated for Christmas with the Jolly Holly embossing folder and Christmas sentiments and paper. And it is a triple panel Z fold card. And I thought it was so fun and so cute. I decided to make this card for you, but I wanted it decorated for fall because we're headed into Thanksgiving time and that seemed like the right thing to do. So here we have the similar fun fold decorated with Gathering Moments stamp set and dies and the Gathering Together DSP. All right. And these are online exclusives. They are available right now. And so perfect timing for Thanksgiving. So you can kind of see what it does. It looks pretty complicated. And then when you get down into the nuts and bolts, it turns out it is not at all. Okay. So I'm going to show you how to make it. And I'm going to show you because I picked a paper that has a pattern that is continuous. I'm going to show you how to do that. If you decide not to use an up, down, a left, right, a continuous pattern and just mix it and match it, don't worry. It's just as easy to do the way we're doing it or cut everything individually, but I will get to that more as we get closer. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So I'll be on my blog tomorrow, so you don't need to take notes or nothing. We're going to start with two pieces of cardstock. One is going to be our card base. It is 5.5 by 7.25. And I can tell you from experience, because the first one I made, I very carefully cut it to 7 inches, and that will not work. It needs to be 7.25. I'm just saying. So we're going to score this one at 4.25. So 4.25. Use that gray blade, will make your life much easier, I promise, or you're going to have much smaller pieces of cardstock really fast. And then the second fold score line is at 5.75. Okay, and this is just going to be a Z fold, regular old Z fold. All right, so you can see we're going to just fold it like so, and then back on itself to make our first Z fold. And I will burnish that when we get ready to work on it. Now, these 3 pieces right here are each 1.5 inches wide and then 7.25 inches long. We're going to score this piece of cardstock. It's basic beige. And all I did was just add it up so that I would get, it's actually 4.5 by 7.25, but 4.5 divided by 3 is 1.5. So to minimize the number of cutting, scorings and foldings you have to do, if you'll start with a large piece, do the scoring first, then cut into the strips, and then you can fold it, and you'll have your 3 strips, easy peasy, with just a little bit less scoring. Does that make sense? Okay. So we're going to take this piece, and instead of scoring on the long direction, we're going to score, we are going to score on the long direction. We're going to cut on the short direction. Almost worked that up. All right, so again, 4.25 and 5.75. Okay, Then we need this in 3 1.5-inch strips. So we'll turn it so that the short side is up at the top, and we'll just cut 1.5. Now we're going to want to use the dark gray. 1.5. And 1.5. And if I've done my highly complicated math correctly, come on, baby, be 1.5. Be 1.5 for mama. It is. Yay! Okay, so we have our 3 strips. Now I'm going to show you, because you're probably thinking, she did the exact same thing, so how did we get the Z's? Let me go ahead and do a burnish here so I don't forget to do that. Fun folds are all about straight score lines, straight folds, and a good burnish. All right. So the way this works is you put the Z in the opposite direction, okay? So we're just going to make our Z like this. And when it goes on the card front, it will be opposite the card Z, the card base Z. See how that works? If I turned it this way, that would be really weird. I don't even know what that would be called. That would be called an error in judgment and a redo. Okay, so we're just going to make 3 of those just like that. So we'll fold and fold, burnish and burnish. And I like to kind of keep them like that because that helps me remember where to adhere stuff to. I need these visual reminders. You know what I'm saying? Hey, Faith. Hey, Faith, I got a really nice package today. Thank you, my friend. I appreciated that. That was very nice of you. All right. So we have our card base made. We have our Z-fold strips, our triple panels. Now we're going to cut some DSP. Now, I mentioned that I have a pattern that kind of continues. And when I do have a pattern like that, I kind of think it's fun to try to keep it all continuous. So when the card is folded, or you can start to see how the plaid continues along there, and it also continues this way. There's an easy way to do this. So we're going to start with a piece of DSP. It is 4 1/8. I'm going to just double measure, measure once, cut twice. Okay, so 4 1/8 wide, which is, if you can do the math, 1 3/8 plus 1 3/8 plus 1 3/8. 1 3/8 happens to be the width of the DSP on my strips. All right, so I just added it all up to get 4 1/2, and then I made it 7 1/4 long. How do I know 7 1/4? Because this piece wants to be 4 1/8, and this piece wants to be 1 3/8. So when you do that math, you get 7 1/4, I hope. No, you don't. You don't get 7 1/4. I was looking at the wrong thing. You get 5 1/2. All right, now you're going to want to pay attention when we cut. And this is how I did this. Okay. First, I cut in 3 1 3/8 inch. Make sure I'm doing that right. 1 3/8, right? 1 3/8. Okay, so I'm going to make 3 1 3/8 strips, and I'm going to keep the strips in the same order they come off of the DSP. Okay? Following me still? Okay, so there's the top. And the next one is 1 3/8. And that is the middle. And then this is the bottom piece. Okay. Now, to get the end pieces and keep the design going, I'm going to cut them again. This time I'm going to take 1 3/8 inches off of this side. Why 1 3/8, you ask? Because this piece right here is a lovely little square of 1 3/8 by 1 3/8. So I'm going to go out there like that. 1 3/8 is also on this side of your cutting blade. And I'm going to cut it. And then I'm going to put it right back where it was. Just like that. Do it again. Are you seeing a trend? Am I making you dizzy? Am I making you think, God, this is the hardest card ever? This is the easiest fun fold ever. Okay, maybe not ever. A book fold is easier. But the fun part, or the tricky part, if you find it tricky, is continuing your pattern. So what I would recommend, if you don't want to play with all of this, just use DSP that doesn't have a pattern. So plaid, maybe not your best choice, but I thought it was fun. Okay, and the final one is 1 3/8. Okay, like that. Okay, so I'm putting them all back. Everything is still continuing. And now we're going to make the center accent piece. And it's going to go like this. So what I did is I took a 1 3/8 inch strip, and it is 4 1/8 long, and I'm just going to cut into 1 3/8 3 times, and I'm going to keep it in order. So there's the top. So the first one that comes is 1 3/8. I'm going to put it right up there at the top, cut the next one, and put it just like that. See how I'm keeping my plaid going there? And then this last one should also be 1 3/8. Again, if I've done my high level math right, except that didn't go, that's more like that. Okay? So now, as long as I adhere these to their pieces correctly and then put them on the card right, it'll all be good. And if you don't, guess what? The only one who's going to worry about that is you. Your recipient is going to love all of this card and not go, oh my goodness, that would have been the coolest card ever if only she had kept the plaid going. That's just not going to happen. Okay? So now we're going to do the really boring part, and we're going to adhere everything together. All right, so I'm just going to use a little bit of liquid glue. Keep everything in the same orientation it is when you pick it up, if you're worrying about your pattern. Okay? So don't change that. Like that. The first one I tried, I messed up all of the plaid, so I made a command decision that it didn't matter. But then I'd also cut the cardstock the wrong size, and so it just didn't work at all. I mean, like, not at all. So I said, okay, I am going to put it back together, and I'm going to make sure I keep it all in order this time. So that's what I did. So there's our top piece, and we're just going to repeat. This is like watching cement dry. I am so sorry. All right. So kind of keeping an eye on the airline situation. It ought to be sporty next week to get to Las Vegas. The only good news is it is a direct flight for me from Atlanta. So hopefully it'll all work out. And hopefully Amy and Karen will get there without incident. And we can meet up as advertised in the airport and then get out. Backstage is going to be at the Red Rock Casino Resort again. We went there 2 years ago, I think. Yeah, the last time we had an in-person backstage. Okay, so there's the third one, or the middle one. I'm going to put it right back. And yes, it would appear I still have my plaid working. Yay! Okay, one more. I only have to get one more and keep it right. That's right. No live next Thursday. That is correct. And for that matter, there won't be a Zoom the Craft Room next Thursday evening either. Sorry, guys. Or Monday. There won't be a Monday Zoom the Craft Room or a Thursday Zoom the Craft Room. I'll be on tonight, but not next week. Okay, one more middle one. I am 2 pieces away from success. Life is good. I feel good about it. All righty. I was going to say something really interesting. It was going to be fascinating, and you were going to want to know it about backstage next week. But now it's out of my brain. Therefore, you will not hear it. I promise that when I think of it at 2 in the morning, I won't call you. Okay, one more. I have absolutely no idea what I was going to say there. None. Zero. I will tell you that I realized last night on my team meeting that the 10th is next Monday. For some reason, I thought I had this week and next week, and then I'd be gone. So it's a good thing I had a team meeting and started looking at the calendar, isn't it? Okay, so there we have it in order of attachment to our card front. So let's go ahead and we'll start at the top. And I'm just going to put some liquid glue on about that much of the end because I only want liquid glue on this first panel. You don't want it on the middle one. Okay, so I'm just going to do my best to align the top edge and the end edge. The end edge. Is that even a thing? So you can kind of look back there and see how that's going. Give it a little squeeze to squish that happy little liquid glue around. There we go. Still looks good. Okay. Now, when you want to space these evenly without, like, measuring, the next thing you're going to do is the bottom one. Okay, so here's the bottom. This was the middle. Here's the bottom. So again, I'm going to turn it this way. Does that make sense? Yes, it does. I'll put a little bit of liquid glue on the end. You don't need all the way across because it'll squish. And you don't want too much extra so that it doesn't squish out. It's a fine line. You picked a fine line to glue me, Lucille. That is not the words, but it sounded right. Okay, just line up the bottom and this edge. Give it a little squish. Give it time to get settled and take hold. The liquid glue wants just a little extra time, which is both good and bad, right? If you need it, it can squish around. If you don't want it, it can also squish around. All right, so final piece. All I'm going to do is I'm going to eyeball equidistant between these two edges, okay? If your recipient gets his or her micrometer out and measures, snatch that card right back and say, no, sir or ma'am, you are getting a card from Publix next year. They don't need to do that. That is just too much. Okay, so we're going to give that a little squish. Keep this edge lined up. And I want to give it time to settle because it will move for just a minute, okay? Oh, thank you, Patricia. I'm glad because there's weirdness going on in there this week. I'm just saying. There's weirdness. All right, I'm getting a drink while that glue really settles before I put the other end on. I fear we're going to go a little long today. I'm so sorry. Okay, now to do the other end, you're just going to put liquid glue on this end like so. And then line up the top and the end edges. Okay, so while it's still squishy, turn it over, see if you can see basic gray, basic beige. You can, so I'm going to just push it down just a little bit. It's one advantage to having a dark card base and a light matte. You can really see if you've gone past the edges. Give it a minute to dry. Okay, and just to keep things even and to keep the process and to keep you thinking about doing the top and the bottom and then the middle, I'll do the bottom next. Okay, just aligning the edge and the bottom. There we go. Okay, and that looks good. And then this one should be pretty straightforward, right? Snatch that card back. That's exactly right. And if you're good, you can take the inside liner that you wrote a loving comment on and take it out and put a new one in and give it to somebody who will appreciate it and not measure. Okay, and then for this one, you can just kind of eyeball that distance again, but what's going to really help you is to just line up that edge real good and then kind of give it an eyeball. Yes, it looks straight, looks good. And then let it set aside for just a second while everything dries. And that is your triple panel fun fold. So now it's just a matter of decorating. So let us first do the back. And for the back, I am just going to stamp a pretty little leaf, And we're going to use crushed curry and Cajun craze. I know. You are correct. The paper is beautiful. This is one of my favorite papers. And somebody accused me the other day of saying they were my favorite papers about all the papers. I can't help it. I like the papers. Everybody loves paper, and I am no exception. All right, I'm going to color this stamp with ink daubers, and I'm going to try to not stick the Cajun Craze ink dauber in the crushed curry ink dauber and vice versa. So I don't want a lot of ink. Okay, I'm just gonna get a little ink on my dauber and brush it off, and then I'm just gonna tap, tap, tap around the inner part of this image. Okay, and then we'll do the same with the Cajun Craze, but this one I'm gonna go around the edges. I'm not getting real head up. It's very hard to see the ink on there, so I'm not terribly head up about it. It's kind of going to be a vintage look. If there's a little white space left, that's going to be fine. Let's see what we got. Everybody hold your breath. Did you hold your breath? I did not hear you suck in a breath. Okay, and I do like how that looks. I'm very happy with that. Now, I need that 2 more times, so let's go ahead and do it. I'm going to make this stamp right now and get it cut out, and I've already cut out some acorns. I'll show you what I did there. So let me put this aside, get my spare piece of vanilla, and I'm going to repeat. Okay, so we're going to just put kind of a dry dauber with crushed curry around the center of the leaf, and I'm not even going to re-ink that one. I think I can do that. And just tap, 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 tap all around the edges. And then we'll stamp. There, perfect. And I will set that aside. I'm going to go ahead and do my envelope, and then we'll be all done with this. When I am doing this kind of inking technique, I do clean the stamp between each time, okay? Otherwise, it starts to get kind of muddified, okay? What was the name of the DSP? Oh, that is the Gathering Together DSP. It's an online exclusive, okay? So you won't see it in the catalog, but it is online. All right, one more time with the crushed curry in the center. You guys are gonna really know how to do this by the time I get done today. Okay, and then we'll I do think I need a little more ink on my Cajun Craze and around the edges. Tap, 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 tap. Tap, tap, tap. Okay. Yep, I'm on the right side. There we go. Okay, so those are done. I can put those aside for just a second. Although, my next piece of, wait, this is my inside. Don't do that. Do not do that. Now, to make my large leaf, what I did is I am coloring the very vanilla, and I'm going to color it, make sure I have enough of it colored to cut out my leaf, all right? I'm coloring it with those daubers again. And so what I'm going to do, this is very detailed and technique driven and very much measured. Okay, so make sure you take notes. You might want to note the time in the video. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. This is too easy. We're just going to do this. Okay, don't get too close to our leaf. And then I'll do this with the Cajun Craze. Like that. When I use a dauber, I do like to ink and then brush it off a little bit just to kind of get any big blobs, because you can always add more color a whole lot easier than you can take it off. And by a whole lot easier, I mean, you know, like it all. Okay, just a little blending there, little blending. Okay, do a quick check to be sure I have enough. I do. Okay, let me close these up so I don't have an accidente. And what I'm going to do before I go to my machine is I'm going to stamp my sentiment. So I only have to leave you uno time. I'm going to stamp Thankful for You. That is from the Gathering Moments, sorry. Gathering Together is the DSP. Gathering Moments is the stamp set. I'm going to stamp it on my basic, or my very vanilla in pecan pie ink. Okay, that's good. Okay, so let me show you what I'm fixing to do. Thank you, Carol. Fixing to cut out 3 things. All right, I'm going to cut out this leaf with the die that's in the set. And then I'm going to use this big outline, and I'm going to stick the stitching die right in the center of it. Okay? Like that, so that I cut out a stitched and die cut leaf. And then I'm going to use this die, this banner from Stylish Shapes, to cut out my sentiment. Okay, so I'll be right back, and if I've done this correctly, this will be the last time I have to leave, the one and only time. The first time, the last time, all the times. So hang tight, hang with me, people, hang with me. I want to make sure I've got my leaf where I've got it all colored in. All right, and then cut out this one as well. Get it kind of lined up so it's sort of even. The good news is once I get this done, we're just adhering stuff together, and that should be pretty quick. She says, with hope in her voice. All right. So here is our leaves, and I'll get the sentiment and be right back with you. All right, so just lining up that sentiment die, the banner die, across the sentiment. And hopefully that's straight. Yes, it is. Okay, now let me put my dies back on my magnets so I don't lose them. See how pretty that is? You get those pretty stitch marks right out of the center, right as you cut. Or, of course, you can also cut it with just the outline. You don't even need to do that, which is what I did when I cut the second one, which is from Earth and Tone metallic paper. Just put it through like that without this middle die in place. Although you can absolutely do that with the metallic if you like it like that. I just didn't need it for this card. All right, so that's there. And this is back on its magnet. Okay. Let's put these aside so I don't get all inky binky. All right, now you'll find it is easier if you go ahead and put your back panel on first. Your back panel on first, so let's be sure we're putting it right side up. Nothing is more disappointing, not to say life-ending because it's fixable, but you never want to put your back panel or inside liner on upside down if you can help it. Okay, so we're just going to put that there. Oh, Addie, for goodness sake. You know what? She is so silly. She watched her dad walk out the door, watched him go. He shut the door, and she started barking like a fool. I don't even know. My goodness, she's so silly. Okay, now let's go ahead, and I've got a couple of things already cut out. Those aren't them. I said I already showed you the big leaf. I used this die right here to cut out a not very detailed, but it's kind of just a nice touch, also from the Earth and Toned. And then I stamped and die cut these little acorns in pecan pie. Now, for these dies, sometimes with the kind of distinctive sets like this is, you will discover that you get some like little dots on the outside of your image. If that happens, and it can be fine on one color and then it gives it to you on the next color, so it's a little bit color dependent, a little bit ink pad dependent. But if you find that, just ink the stamp, and then dot, dot, dot around it. That kind of settles that ink down, and you'll get a much nicer image if you have that problem. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to basically adhere our leaves like so. Trick, you don't want anything extending off of either edge. Okay, this is big enough for your envelope. You really don't want to get carried away here. Okay, so find a good spot for them. So you can kind of angle them a little bit like that. Okay. And then this is what I did to make this happen. I know I'm going to need a little bit of ink right there and some ink in, or not ink, glue right in here. All right. That's all I'm going to do. And I'm putting it on the card base because if you're not careful, I'm putting it on the card. There you go. If you're not careful, you'll end up gluing that dog. I tell you, you'll end up gluing your fun fold together, and that's not good. It stops being fun at that point. Hey, Sherry. I know. Apparently, she thinks that he is, well, I don't know what he's doing. I think he's out there walking around the house because he thinks it's funny. I don't know. Okay, so we're going to adhere that like so. So I've just got glue here and right in here. Liquid glue's the bomb. And I have not glued anything together. Phew. All right, so this little guy, and you can see I'm closing it up each time because I want to be darn sure that I don't go across over the edges there. Okay, so again, this time I'm putting it on the leaf because I don't want it squishing up through the holes. So I'm just putting some liquid glue. You see where I did it? And then I will set it down once I make sure it's angled the way I want it to angle. Just like that. Get in there. Okay. And then I'm just going to let it hold for a second and give a good time to dry. Dry, baby, dry. I had a hanging chat right there. Get it out. Get it out. Okay. I don't see any other hanging chats. Okay. Now it's just a matter of creating a little collage with my pieces and my parts. So I have this little guy and I have an acorn. Now, obviously I know where I want things because I've already made one, right? But when I first made this, I didn't. And so I just kind of played with it a little while to see how I wanted it. Okay. And then this guy is going to go down here like about so. And then where is our sentiment going to be? Right about there. Okay. So let's see. Actually, I want him up on that leaf a little higher. Like that. It's all falling apart there. Let's put this down here like so. And this will be like that. There we go. And then this can go here. Okay, so that's about where I want things. I like that look. So we'll just kind of start putting them back on there right at the same place. And is it going to be perfectly back where I put it? No, probably not. But it will be pretty darn close to where I had it. All right. And then I'm going to put this guy on. Like so. And then stick a acorn. Stick a acorn. Stick a pin in it. It's going to be done here in just a hot second. Okay, so that's like that. Let's go ahead and put this back on. Yep, I'm happy. I'm happy with how that looks. Okay, right about there for Mr. Second Acorn. Come on now. I think I'm running out of liquid glue. What think y'all? About time to switch bottles. Okay, so that's going to go there. While that's drying, I'm going to take some pecan pie linen thread from the, no, not pecan pie, Early Espresso. From the Early Espresso and Old Olive linen thread pack. We're going to make a double bow, just a double simple bow. So just 2 lengths of the linen thread tied in a bow. Do you remember that song from 100 years ago? Oh, that's not good at all. I'm going to sing a little bit because I want to distract you from my bow making non-skills. You'd think after this many years I could make a decent bow first shot, but I can't. I acknowledge it. I am I'm bow challenged. That's right. But that one I think I can take. Okay. And we'll just cut that off, cut that down. And then I'm going to use some liquid glue. And I want to put it, I want my sentiment like so, and I'm going to put my bow right there. Glue me, baby. Get down on there. All right, and while that dries, I'm going to line up some double stack dimensionals. I have a thick bow right there, so we're going to do double stack dimensionals. And I know that my sentiment is going to want to be just like right there, like so. And I can even put a fourth stack. Yep. So then just take the little lids off. Let me get my little dish. Boom. And boom. And boom. All right. And then just put the second one on top. Like so. All right. And then we can go ahead and adhere it. By now that bow is pretty well stuck down, so he should be happy with us playing around him. Yes, you could use a glue dot there if you prefer. Okay, let's see if we can get this kind of straight. I'm pulling it to me, guys, sorry. Just a little bit straight. Straight would be good. Straight is good. I like straight. Now, if you want to, you can slide another double stack under there to support it out on the other side of the bow. Okay. That's why your tweezers are the handiest thing you're going to have. It was so cool. 2 ladies in the retreat gave us new tweezers. So now I have like 4 tweezers. That's like having prepper food in the pantry. It's so good. It's so good to know that you've got all those tweezers handy and ready to roll. Nothing like them. Look at them. They're even pink. Look at this. Isn't that pretty? And look at that shiny. They're so pretty. So pretty. Okay, now to finish off, I'm going to put some of these Cajun Craze and gold dots, and we're going to do 4 or 5 of them. I'm going to put a big one down here and a medium, and then I'm going to put a medium and a little, whoop, and one more little up there. So that's 5. Kind of spread it out. Get back on there, glue dot. I pulled that right off of him. Shame on me with my tweezers. Okay, and then I'm going to put a medium right here and a little one down here, and I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and there is our card, y'all. So that is all there is to that. Oh dear, I got a little bit of glue. Oh no, that's okay. Now, we've already done the leaf on our envelope, so all I have to do is add a little bit of DSP. Thank you, Judy. I'm so glad that you liked it. I was really glad that Susan brought this to the retreat. I think they all know I'm always looking for a new fun fold, and this one certainly qualified. I'm gonna use that pretty plaid. I do love a good plaid. Who doesn't? I mean, but who doesn't? We'll just trim this off. Can I just say no fussy cutting in this entire card? All you have to do cut-wise is right here. And that one doesn't get much easier. There you go. All right, guys, I appreciate it. I did go a little bit long. I'm so sorry. I hope I'll see you back here on Saturday for our next Christmas card. We're getting close to Christmas, so I think this is like, what, week 7, week 6 even? It's getting seriously close. But Saturday will be the last live, and then no lives again until the following Saturday. So have a great rest of your week. Enjoy yourselves, and I will see you later. Thanks. Ta.